Well, hello again. I hope you're having an exciting afternoon like I am. This time goes fast, doesn't it? I mean, I said that before, but it's really fun for me, even as the organizer. Although there's a little bit of stress involved with organizing this event, but I think it's been great so far, and really hope you guys are having a great time. This is our last event. It's the panel discussion on marketing through COVID, pivoting and growing your business. But before we do that, I just want to get you guys another chance to do another poll to win some prizes. So you should be able to see there a scan to play icon with your phone. Again, you don't have to actually press the camera button. You just have the camera on and move it close enough, and it should pick up and open up, give you a button to press on your camera to open up a browser, or you can enter the code at the link you see there. So if you can go ahead and do that if you're interested. In the meantime, let's show the question. What new skill have you developed as a result of COVID? A, cutting hair. B, baking treats. C, mixing loungewear bottoms with formal tops. For me, none of those. I've got to say, though, it's interesting to me, the commercials on TV always show this, formal top attire and bottom shorts, but I've never seen it. And people talk about YouTube. There's some video somewhere of an interviewer who was caught with his pants down, literally. I've never seen it. So I don't know anyone who's brave enough to do that. I'm sure it does happen, but I haven't seen it myself. And thank goodness I haven't been involved in it myself. So for me, the poll doesn't speak too much to me, but I will confess that my wife went to YouTube and learned how to cut hair for both myself and my son. So during the whole COVID time, I've been getting haircuts at home with my wife, and so is my young son, and I'm okay with it. So that's. I hope you guys are okay with it too. Let's see the results, shall we? Okay, so baking treats is the lowest, cutting hair is the secondary, and then the largest one is mixing loungewear bottoms with formal tops. So looks like I'm in the minority of someone who's dealing with this issue. I think that maybe I got to try it. I think that's the lesson, is that I've got to try this. Okay, thanks so much for playing the game. We'll do one more poll at the very end, but for now, as they say, without further ado, let me introduce the panelists for this discussion. So I'm going to read a bit, my handy dandy note page. Let's get the panelists. So first of all, small business expert Roger Pierce works with banks and brands to create how-to business advice and resources for entrepreneurs. Roger, wave.
Hello, everyone.
Mark Bowden, you should know, is our wonderful keynote speaker. So if you happen to have missed that keynote, he's an all-around communication expert, author, and speaker. I'll leave it at that. Mark, again, welcome back. Jeremy Miller is the founder of Sticky Branding. He helps companies slingshot their sales and brands out of the crisis. Very timely, I would say. Hello, Jeremy.
How's it going?
Very good, thank you. And last but not least, Sanjay Dhebar is an award-winning faculty member at Schulich School of Business here in Toronto, author and facilitator who brings his active consulting practice experience into the classroom, blending theory with reality. Sanjay, nice to see you again. Okay, so as I've told the panelists, and as maybe the audience knows as well, again, we've got 30 minutes for this, so it's technically 20 minutes of us doing Q&A and 10 minutes for the audience, but as Mark said in the beginning of the keynote, any question at any time is fine. I do have some questions I do want to ask the panelists to start off, though. So if I could just jump right in, I'm going to ask my first question is for Roger. So here's your question, Roger. As you know, small businesses everywhere are really worried about making enough money to survive. Can you suggest some creative marketing and selling tactics that business owners can use to increase revenue?
Well, thanks, Rick. That's a great question, and one that I'm sure is on a lot of people's minds right now. Depending on where you live, lockdown or not lockdown, orange, green, blue, whatever, there may be some restrictions on your ability to get out there and engage prospects and customers right now. So you really need to be creative in how you go about finding some new business and bringing in revenue. For starters, and it's pretty obvious, if you haven't already, you've got to get your business online. E-commerce applications are the norm right now, and most people are shopping online. And if you're not there, you're going to miss out. And I don't want you to miss out because every dollar counts. But the nice thing about selling online is it opens up new markets as well. You don't necessarily be restricted to your neighborhood anymore. You can sell to the next town, the next province, even the next country. So get your business online. In 2019, Canadians spent $65 billion on online shopping, and they say during the pandemic that sales have doubled. So we'll see what those final numbers are. And it's real easy to set up an e-commerce application. Shopify comes to mind. You can plug it right into your website and they'll take care of most of the technical issues for you. So going online is one creative way to get some more sales going. Another one I'd recommend is starting up a subscription-based offering. Look, it's all about getting some recurring revenue going, perhaps. And if your business lends itself to a monthly repeating order, easy for consultants and coaches, I would add. So you turn your monthly coaching session into a recurring monthly offering, maybe a little more affordable because you're going to gain in the long run by setting up recurring revenue from your customers. So subscription-based models are really a creative way to bring in some more money for the long term and giving your customers some real added value too. You got to wow them with value to get them to sign up with their credit card every month. Third thing I'd suggest is a strategic alliance. I love doing this. I've done a lot of these in my life, and they've worked out usually pretty well. So this is where you team up with another business or another person who is going after the same type of customers that you want to reach, but they don't compete with you. They're offering something complementary, like a website designer teaming up with a copywriter. And you go after these customers together and you try to make a larger offering to increase some revenue and you share in the wealth that way. So that's a creative way to sort of get out there and augment what you're doing by teaming up with others. A great example of that is, I'm actually going to be working with the company putting on this platform today, Learngistics, and we're teaming up, combining the content we produce for banks and going after banks with a new offering, which is sort of small business events online. So hopefully that bears some fruit and brings in some additional revenues. I think that would be my top recommendations, Rick, in terms of how to get creative with marketing and selling right now.
Thanks. For me, just to add 2 cents, as soon as you said strategic partnerships, right, that just rings so true on so many levels. I mean, I'm just thinking about even this event, which is, a nonprofit, sponsored event, but without strategic alliances, events, like-minded individuals, people benefiting, companies benefiting, you just can't do things alone anymore, right? And I think that a lot of small business people have to stop the cowboy routine. And I was certainly guilty of that in my first 10 plus years doing coaching, doing everything myself, and it's no good. Very good. Does anyone else of the other panelists want to add anything to that question regarding creative marketing and selling tactics, or do you want to wait for your own question? But if you've got something to add, this is a great time. Okay, and you're all going to get your own question anyway. I'm moving on then. Okay, this question is for Mark. Mark, during COVID, many coaches, trainers, and business owners have been forced to be online. They are doing webinars, podcasts, and videos. Your YouTube channel has over 70,000 subscribers. The behavior panel has over 144,000. Can you give us some insight or tips on how to successfully market videos and a YouTube channel?
Yeah, okay. Wow. So, be relentless. I mean, I think part of the success, so my own channel has just over 70,000 viewers, and I've not been that relentless with that. I've just kind of bought out content when I can, produce some content now and again, and it's good quality content. So people have gravitated towards it because I'd say it's useful. And essentially what it does in many cases is start the work immediately. You get a sense of what it might be like to work with me because I'm not holding back on the advice or the help. I'm just delivering it there and then, whether it's a video that I've made or something I've done for a news organization. I'm trying to think about how do I start the work immediately with a potential client by just giving them lots of value for free. So that's got, just over 70,000 subscriptions, subs, pretty good. The behavior panel, which has gone off the charts, I mean, just ballistic. I think that is partly the result of teaming up with other people. It speaks to Roger's idea there and yours there, Rick, of saying, look, if you want to do something amazing, chances are you can't do it on your own. You've got to get some kind of team together and start working with people that's a really good alliance that have assets that you don't have, and it's fun to be around. So we've done that, but also we've just been thoroughly relentless about producing an hour of content or more a week and putting it out there and talking to everybody who likes what we're doing, and just getting into a chat with them. And very quickly, you may or may not have known this, we got Dr. Phil as a fan, and then he had us on the Dr. Phil show. We just did his podcast. He's said he'd like to be on our show. So again, more alliances happening. But I think what's really caused this is persistence, relentlessness, and doing that as a team, and a very positive team together. So there's my take on that, Rick.
Great. I just want to follow up a little bit. So I've been watching your videos for a long time, and there is an effort to have high quality production, and at the same time, to what you're saying, there's the effort to be genuine and sincere. And so if someone is looking at that balance, for example, they're saying, well, I don't have the technical know-how or the equipment at this moment in time to do high level videos. Should I just go forward anyway, as long as my message is genuine, or should I wait and have a higher quality production? What's your take on that?
Yeah, do not wait. Do not wait. Just don't wait. Make something today as best as you can today, because tomorrow you're going to make something else, and that it will be better, and you'll learn. So don't wait until you think you're best. You're good enough now to produce something today, and tomorrow you'll make something even better. I would just say that. And yes, there is that thing of being genuine. With the behavior panel, we're just kind of, we hack something together as good as we can today. And people do write in and they say, God, you should have better editing, and this would be better. And if you did this, and we go, yeah, you're absolutely right. But we're a bunch of friends producing something today for ourselves that we hope you like as well. And that's what we're going to continue doing, because that's all we can do under the circumstances.
Great. I'm just reminded of the idea of a perfectionist versus a non-perfectionist. I'm a not perfectionist. I'm a Pareto principle, like 80-20 is good for me. But the people that I know that are perfectionists, they have a hard time producing content or getting whatever, because it's never good enough to release. So I think that you make a good point.
Totally. And just to that point, Rick, the behavior panel, I'm working with a couple of people who are ex-special operations. So they are absolute perfectionists, because you die otherwise if you don't. But they know all you do is you make a plan, and then you throw away the plan the moment you're in the field. Right. Because all kinds of things will happen along the way. Make a plan, make your best plan possible, and then get it done. Go for the end, and then do something else the next day.
And be prepared to adapt and overcome. Very good.
Absolutely.
Anybody else from the panel want to jump in on that question about online production of videos, podcasts, webinars, etc.? Any other comments at this moment?
I've read on the on the walls of Facebook, there's posters that say just what Mark is saying: done is better than perfect. So get your content out there. You can fiddle with this stuff forever. Sure, work to improve the production values over time if you want to, but get it out there. Let people engage.
I love it.
Well, I think there was, and I think actually it was Mark that told me this many, many years ago when I was writing books, or I still am, but it was with my first book. He said, you will produce whatever it is to the best of your ability today, and then you're going to learn from it, and then the next one gets better. But the gap that we have in this perfectionist thing is you have a thing in your mind of what you think you should be creating, and then you fight and you struggle against this. But the reality is, your videos today, they may come across as amateur or crusty, and then you're going to get better lighting, better technology, better computer, better skills, better body language, whatever. But if you don't do it, you don't learn. And I think that's really the thing. And as a person who's a perfectionist, I fight with myself all the time on this, but I find the key to this is routine. If you've got a publishing deadline every Tuesday, like for me, every Tuesday at 5 a.m., I've got to have an article out the door. It's the same thing. Mark has a production schedule for his videos. When you've got that deadline, you can't not deliver. And that body of work 10 years later, you go, wow, I'm amazing. But the first dozen, you're probably embarrassed by.
Yeah, I mean, you'll know this, Jeremy, is that the difference between, for example, somebody who has written a book and somebody who hasn't written a book is the person who's written a book has finished. That's all. Is it a
Yeah.
good book? I don't know. I haven't read them all, but they finished. That's all.
Yeah.
They just finished it, and that's the biggest difference: is can you complete? Most people don't complete. Will it be any good or not? I don't know. That's really tough to make things good. First of all, just try and finish something.
Great. Excellent. Okay, so this question is for Jeremy. Jeremy, your best-selling book and your company are both called Sticky Branding.
Yep.
Can you tell us what you mean by sticky? And how have things changed, if at all, during COVID? What have you noticed? Two-part question.
Great question, Rick. Well, so for me, I came into branding and marketing from an unexpected way. I was a sales guy who had lost his competitive advantage, and my first rebrand was my family's business. And what we discovered when we started looking at our problem is we didn't have a sales problem. We had a branding problem. Our customers couldn't distinguish us from anyone else. But my roots are actually in sales. And so the idea of sticky branding is not like in a gross kind of way or glue or honey and that kind of thing. What it is about relationships. How do you get your customers to choose you first? And if you think of any remarkable brand, Apple, Nike, Starbucks, or maybe your favorite restaurant that you visit on a regular basis, they all have that one thing in common. Their customers choose them first. But it's bigger than that. They think of them first, they refer them first, and they come back again and again. And they do that not because they have the best product or the best price. They do that because they know the brand, they like it, and they trust it. And so when you build authentic relationships with your customers and your prospects, those deposits you're making in the trust bank are where you are developing your reputation, where you are building connection. And that's what's going to ultimately reward you both in sales, but also in loyal customers. It's that relationship. Now, to your second part of your question, COVID has fundamentally broken every value proposition and sales strategy that I can think of. There's not a person in this panel today that has not been affected by COVID, and I guarantee in the audience as well. We're going to look back at 2020 as very much having this clear dividing line, A, C, B, C. And after coronavirus, we are going to really have to think clearly about two things. Number one, how do we be of service? One of the challenges we face today is our customer needs have shifted. So the question I like to ask is, what products or services can you deliver? But really it's what are your customers' needs? What are their expectations? What are their needs? And how can you be of service? And from there, it's finding the messaging. The thing that we struggle the most with right now isn't in our marketing. It's in our ability to be hyper relevant and hyper present. So how can you speak to a clear customer need that's generous and empathetic, and then offer a solution in your products and services to meet that? And when you do that, you really start to have a relevant brand after COVID. If you keep marketing the way you were doing it in 2019 and before, you come off as tone deaf. So the world changed this year, and now is the time to reimagine just how you present yourself, how you connect with your customers, and how you market.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, again, just to add my 2 cents, I mean, brand loyalty, right? I mean, like, that's how do we keep people, any type of customer loyalty, how do you keep them? And, you got to stay on top of them. You got to keep your fingers on the pulse. You got to know what's going on. You can't be seen as out of touch, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It's so fickle, isn't it? So amazing. Any other comments from the panelists on that subject?
Yeah, to complement that, I just think authenticity really stands out, and good for you for making that as one of the major kind of takeaways to the audience, because we can see through now. We can see what's real and what's not real. And the most important is people expectations building off the previous around content is, it doesn't have to be perfect, because people actually want something that's real that they can relate to. I mean, there's a reason why reality shows are so popular, because we want to touch and feel that action and feel like, yeah, that's what's happening in my home, and have empathy and sympathy. And authenticity is a great way to connect and, as suggested, build better relationships with your customers.
Great. And just people sometimes think about sales as, oh, sales is scary, sales is it's can be kind of slimy, this and that. People have this fear, but it's not about that. It's about doing it right. As everyone here is saying, if you're authentic and genuine and trying to help people, guess what? You're selling. Doesn't mean you're being a quote unquote slimy salesperson. You're selling because you're helping. Very good. Sanjay, this is perfect because it's your turn to answer the question. Sanjay, you are a popular university lecturer and you're also a business person. Can you give some quick tips to us on an academic theory or formula from marketing that is very applicable to today's COVID world?
Yeah, that's wonderful. Thank you for that. So I think the first thing is right now, especially with small business, and this distinguished panel can appreciate this, is a lot of people try to be a lot of things to a lot of different groups. And so you could have, for example, you could be specialized, have this, since there's no boundaries as suggested earlier, you could have this great e-commerce business, great, easy to use, navigate platform, a wonderful website, and a really good product. You can make stockings that are personalized. But when you start marketing it to everybody, you make it available everywhere, it confuses people. So I'll always sit there and say, pick a team, okay? There's room for everybody, but pick a segment, get great with that segment and focus with them. Because once you get the buy-in from that segment at that time, whether it's geographically, whether it's generational, or whether it's gender-based, it doesn't matter. Get great with them. And at that point, when you've succeeded with that, you can consider extending your offerings as well as extending other markets, other segments to be part of. The one thing that I will say about millennials is people love to talk about millennial this, millennial that. Right now, we should be focused on centennials. These are the brilliant individuals born after 2000. Their knowledge, their ability to make decisions is unbelievable. And we're forgetting about them because the term millennial was so popular to use by especially people like me who's a Gen Xer. See, millennials, centennials are fantastic because the difference between them is they actually always love authenticity. They want to listen and hear different options, but most importantly, they want to see great opportunities to invest in small business or buy from small business. And so that gives opportunities for many people to sit there and go, okay, here's a wonderful segment. Their buying power may be not as extensive as a different generation, but at the same time, let's get them at the beginning. And the example we always talk about is Honda and Toyota. They do a great job. Your first car is your Civic, or your first car is your Civic. And then you go from the Civic, you go to the Honda Accord, right? Whether you go to the Corolla or the Toyota Camry, and then you go to maybe your career where you have an SUV, a CRV, or you get a minivan. But now you're big time. And then you can graduate to go from Honda and go from brand to Acura. It's still part of Honda. But now you get into the MDX, the RDX, or you get to the Acura TLX, different options. And so you get that life cycle of a customer from 10 to 20 years, great opportunity to take advantage. So the key takeaway that I want to share with you ultimately is pick a team, get great, pick a segment, get great with them, and most importantly, don't underestimate centennials and the power and influence centennials have moving forward, especially because every generation learns from the mistakes of the previous ones. And number two is we have more faith and trust, as said previously, around building relationships, but as long as they're trusting relationships, reliable and authentic.
Thank you. That's amazing. And as a Gen Xer, I can completely relate to what you're saying about how we look at millennials. Very good. We have a question that came in from the audience. I just want to get to that. So Dr. Braun, who is the inventor of CTOR games, I got a question for Jeremy. Jeremy, what are the key branding components you see for a startup business?
Great question, Dr. Braun. I think there's a few key ones. Number one is your brand name. Your name is your longest living artifact, and it will outlive any strategy, any pivot, any step. So taking the time out of the gate to get your name right is important. The other one is actually more having an MVP or an agile mindset towards your brand. Because the thing is, you don't know how your business is going to evolve. So one of my suggestions is if you wouldn't throw away a marketing asset after, say, 9 months, then it's going to cost too much. So be really careful about investing in things that you can throw away so that you can iterate faster. But the area you're going to want to iterate the most is really going to be in your messaging. Is it clear and well understood? And in the way you connect with your customers. The way to think of your brand is it's a lagging indicator. So your brand is your reputation and what people know of you, whereas branding is your strategy, and that can keep moving.
Great, excellent. We're almost out of time. Does anyone have any last minute advice or points they want to make about
Sure.
marketing during COVID?
Sure. I just want to say, just to build off Jeremy's comment about strategy, marketing strategy specifically, and I will say there's 4 pillars. 1, how do you differentiate from your competition? Number 2, what additional value are you providing to your customer base for them to pick you versus their competition? So what additional value? So if you're going to raise your price, what additional value are you providing to justify that price? So that's number 2. Number 3 is your idea profitable? Can you actually make money? Okay, and not by greed, but you can have money. And the 4th, and this is the most difficult to achieve, is your strategy long-term? And most importantly, sustainable. So 1, differentiate from competition. 2, additional value to customers. 3, profitability. And 4, long-term and sustainable. Keep those in mind when putting those great ideas together.
Excellent advice. Great. Yes, Roger.
I got one additional thought, just playing on some, I think, do some selling strategies. Ask for referrals and ask for connections. We can't be shy about either right now. So call up that customer, past or present, ask for a connection, look at their network on LinkedIn. If there's someone you want to get connected to, and ask them to connect you and make that introduction. If you're a retail business or a restaurant, ask for those referrals and reviews on Yelp. We can't be shy about the good work we're doing and leverage the network you have to the best of your ability right now.
Yeah, I'm a firm believer in friend raising and using your networks to be successful in business without bugging people, without not adding value. I mean, this whole event came together through my networking. And then by extension of. So it's as long as we're being genuine and sincere, and we're helping people, we're networking right. It's a very good tool. We can't be shy when we're entrepreneurs or small business owners. Jeremy, I think you were going to say something.
Yeah, I think one of the things to recognize is most revenue today is coming from established relationships and existing customers. But the real problem that we're seeing is that generating new business, net new logos or new customers has never been more difficult. And the sales issues are being complicated because middle managers have lost their purchase-making autonomy, and there's a lot of churn there. So decisions have gone to business owners and executives. In order to sell this level, I think the key, sorry, I'm bringing a cat into the mix here. The order to sell this, I think we need to really provoke the customer. So having a clear message that serves a clear need is really what's going to drive so much of business development right now. If you aren't really blunt and aggressive, your messages are not necessarily going to get through.
Excellent, and nice cat.
She's just trying to get more attention than Mark.
Your pets into the mix.
Yeah.
The best
now we got a butt. So I got to just
in
fix
terms
this.
of entertainment and engaging people. Always have kids, pets around you. Now's a great opportunity. People are very forgiving, and it's a great opportunity to let people see, who you really are and what your brand and what your personality really might be. And people are gravitating towards that. It's a great time to be really transparent. So I would just say the more you can start the work immediately in a really transparent way with your clients, potential clients, as a marketing piece and a sales piece, the more success you're going to have. So just get out there, start the work immediately, be bold, and I think you'll get great results.
Excellent, excellent. Well, time flies, as I've said several times today. I'm going to wrap up with my closing remarks, but I'm also going to let people know that there'll be one final poll that you may do online, and then, as I say, the networking lounge is open until 5. For those of you that want to go over there, it's the City of Toronto Networking Lounge. You can connect with people almost like marbles rolling together and open up a little chat. So it's a great way to network. But here's my closing remarks. First of all, thanks again to our wonderful panelists for this discussion right now. We never have enough time, but I think we got a lot of great content out in a fairly short time. Thank you to our sponsors, our partners, the other speakers that were in the Zoom breakouts. Thank you to Louis and the logistics team. Please consider someone this is just a little ask. Please consider nominating someone you know to be a speaker at our next event. If you happen to know someone who may be a good speaker, you've seen a little bit of what we do right now, or have them get in contact with me, or maybe become a general member if you like what we do. Sign up to our newsletter. As I said before, NCCA Canada is always looking for new connections. Finally, I just hope that you had a great day with us. It was my goal from the beginning as the executive director to make sure that it's about content that small business owners, entrepreneurs, and coaches and communication skills enthusiasts could enjoy. And not just enjoy, but maybe pick up a couple tools. And that's the goal, because if I attended an event, that's what I would want. I'd want to be entertained and learn something, but I want to be able to walk away with at least a couple things that, this is what I'm going to take away. This is what I really like. So I hope that has been inspiring for you. I hope you learned a couple things. And we'll see you when we see you. Feel free to connect with any of us on LinkedIn, and feel free to send any emails you like. And like I said, please go to the networking lounge if you like, and spend a bit more time meeting people. Thank you very much for everyone. Thank you so much for showing up. Thank you, thank you, thank you.